Hello everyone, welcome back. Today we are checking out Idol again from Mori Calliope. Now, Idol has been blowing up quite a lot, and it's kind of like Idol cover season because there have been like 3 or 4 Idol covers now that have released all like pretty close to each other. So we've already reacted to 1 or 2, I believe. So now we're reacting to Mori Calliope's. I feel like I've heard this song a lot more than pretty much any other song uh I've in terms of like anime or VTuber music. So this is gonna be pretty interesting. I want to see what Calliope Mori's take is on the song because we've been seeing so many different covers of the song, and Mori has always been one of those artists that likes to put a spin on things, likes to add their own twist to things. So I'm interested to see what she's gonna do for this, or what she's gonna add to this cover, and how she's gonna switch things up to make it her own. So without further ado, let's just jump right on into things in 3, 2, 1, play. All right. Okay. All right. So first things off, we're not getting too crazy for the introduction. It's pretty staple. I will say her voice is remarkably low in the mix, which makes me think that either something's coming up where she's gonna do like a big impact and have her voice really pop out of the mix, or she's just unusually low in the mix right now, which is a bit odd because right now we're getting like so much of these digital and percussive elements that feel like they're like mixed with way more priority than her voice. All right, having some piano in there. All right, she's adding a bit of like, I won't say too much huskiness, but we're getting that deeper tonality. I'd say her vocal demeanor didn't change too much, but it's a subtle shift, and that often happens in any tonal shift, really. But the demeanor really just kind of changed a bit. We got this deeper, more serious demeanor before. It was a little more cutesy, high pitched. Now we're getting a little more serious, but it feels like we're not quite going all the way to deeper tonality. We're just bridging the gap between just that natural tone and a deeper, not necessarily nasally, but just a tiny bit more, a bit more twang, but not a whole lot. It's a little hard to describe, but it's just bridging that gap between like a mid-tone and a treble tone, I suppose. Maybe I didn't describe that the best, but I think it's pretty clear to hear the way her voice shifts for this part. It gets a bit more breathy, I suppose. Nice, okay. Ooh, a lot of bass. Okay, all right. So, if I'm being completely honest, those high notes weren't the best. Those high notes sounded a little strained, but those lower tones, those lower notes sound really, really good. The lower tonality we're getting from Mori's voice here sounds really, really nice. That sounds really comfortable for her, and that sounds very well supported, very clear. And we're getting a bit more of her voice in the mix as well, though not as much as I think there should be. But the higher tonality, the higher pitch, it's a little bit rough. Like right here is fine. It's just that idle part right here, that sounds fine. Yeah, like following the idol, it sounds a little too shrill here. It doesn't sound like her voice is well supported enough, and that could possibly be a mixing issue, but I don't think it is. I think this is just challenging her range a little bit. That said, you know, she is a professional vocalist and she knows what she's doing. She's definitely getting really, really good projection on those lower notes. I mean, the lower tonality we're getting from her voice here, I mean, that sounds phenomenal. That sounds really, really good. It's just when she hits the idol and you can hear her voice straining a bit, that's, I think, what the main issue. Right, so she can hit these notes, right? She can hit these notes, and it sounds good here. But you can hear she's lifting now. She's lifted her voice. She's getting breathier, a little more towards her head voice. You know, it's she's got to get to that higher register for the notes to sound complete, and she's not really doing that when she's hitting the idol. When she's saying idol, she's just kind of trying to project that without lifting her voice, without going to that head voice, without getting too breathy. And so she can hit these notes. It's just she's trying to get it well supported and intense on the idol, and that causes it to sound a bit just not well supported, not completely accurate, not intense enough. And it comes off as a little shrill. All right. This sounds great. This sounds really good. Okay. That was pretty good. There was a lot of digital effect there. I don't think there needed to be that much digital effect, but that was good. You can tell, I mean, it's just that deeper tonality, you know, I think that this cover itself could have been brought a little lower. You know, I think it would have been overall a lot more comfortable for Mori's voice, as well as just like a generally more well-supported vocal track throughout if the entire song was just shifted a little bit down in pitch. Not a whole lot, just a tiny bit. But we're still getting a lot of good vocals from Mori, and I feel like maybe I'm being too negative, maybe I'm judging things too harshly. You know, this is still an incredible cover, but the only problem is I feel like I've heard this song so much, I feel like I've seen so many different people covering it, that if you're gonna do an idol cover now, I feel like you need to be aware of that. You need to be competitive now, because it's not just like, oh, I did an idol cover, this might be someone's first time hearing the song. Now it's, I did an idol cover and everyone's doing an idol cover. So I feel like it's more competitive now, and so I feel like I'm being a little bit harsher now, which might not be fair, and you're free to tell me that in the comments below if you think maybe I should ease off a little bit. But just for this cover, I think that, you know, I think Calli's much more well suited to a deeper tone, and I think she's definitely been raising her range like up higher, and she can definitely hit the high notes when she gets into that breathy head voice, but it's just she's not necessarily doing that all the time. So but still, like this transition here was very clean. There's a lot of digital effect on her lower vocals, which made it a little hard to distinguish her voice, but overall it still sounded pretty good. That was a good raise. That was pretty good. Right there, that felt better than the first one. That felt better than the first one. Nice. I like that. Alright. The rhythm switch up. Alright. That was good. That was good. That was good. This sounds great. Her voice sounds phenomenal here, but why is the piano in the front of the mix? You know, this mix has been bothering me a little bit. You know, it feels like the bass tones are like unusually high and the instrumental is like sometimes overwhelming the vocals. But Calli herself, the vocal track here sounds really, really nice. That like just her tonality, how well supported she is. It's just the right amount of breathiness. She's projecting pretty well. It just her voice is a little bit, just a little bit obscured by the instrumentation. Nice. I mean, I think part of it might be when she hits idle. I feel like she's cutting herself short just a little bit. I feel like if she just added a bit more oomph to that idle and held it out just a tiny bit longer, I feel like she would be able to reach the point where it feels well supported. But I feel like she's cutting herself short and just trying to get herself to hit those notes up high without going into a head voice, and I feel like that's holding her back a bit. That's still not bad though. It still sounds good. Okay, we're getting some vocal backing here. I'm gonna go back a bit because I'm trying to think of like why does it sound so empty to me? And I feel like maybe it's because we're not getting vocal backing on the idle part, or let me re-listen to it. Oh, sorry. Let me go back more. Like this part, I really like this part. She sounds great here, and she sounds fairly comfortable here. She's projecting well. We're getting those choral vocal interjections from the cheers backing her voice, but I think it might be a mixing issue really with this cover because her voice sounds like it was added to the mix as an afterthought. And I say that in the least offensive, the least negative way I can, because I really do like Calli's voice. I really like the way Mori sings and the way she presents her voice. But I think that I think this cover might have been rushed. I think because, and the reason I say that is because her voice sounds so empty, and I don't think that's because of her recording. I think that's a mixing issue. Her voice doesn't sound well mixed to me. That's really good. Nice. That was a good ending chant there. All right, I feel like I might have been a little harsh with this cover. It was overall a really good cover. It was really well executed. It's just the vocal tracks. It felt like they just felt too empty and too low in the mix. Like this is a VTuber cover. This is the cover of a talent in a talent agency, and if the talent isn't always the most distinguishing thing in their, or the most the thing that's most present in a cover or an original song, that feels like it's conflicting with the intent of the work in the first place. And the instrumentation throughout this cover was always obscuring the vocals. I felt like there was no point in this cover where it legitimately felt like the vocal track was the most present thing in the mix. And I think I nitpicked quite a lot when I talked about the when she sings idol, but I mean I feel like that's like the most important lyric in this song. So I feel like there has to be a lot of emphasis there. That's like the high note of the song, right? And if that feels lackluster, the entire cover is going to feel lackluster regardless of how it's executed, because that is the identity of the song. But that said, the low notes and the support and the mid to bass tones we got from Calli's voice here sounded really good. Those sounded very, very, very phenomenal. The amount of support and inflection we got in those lines was really, really nice. But my problem with this cover really is the high notes. Just not really the high notes, but just when we're really shooting for those up high idle notes, it never feels comfortable. You never really feel like she can do this. She could easily do this. This feels like she got to that note. She was able to do it. She got to that note, but it doesn't feel like she can do that like anytime. And I'm being very harsh, and I the only reason I am this harsh right now is probably because it's an idol cover and not like another song. If this wasn't this song, if that everyone and their dog is covering, then I probably wouldn't be this harsh. But when it's an idol cover and everyone's doing an idol cover and everyone's like competitive to make the best idol cover, I feel like you need to be aware of those things in the mix, those things in your vocal track, and you need to touch those up a little bit. Of course, a lot of you may disagree with me. There is a lot of personal preference that goes into things. You guys might think this was perfectly mixed and Calli did a great job, which she did. She did do a great job. But, some of you might disagree with me. Some of you might agree with me. Who knows? Please let me know in the comments below. I would generally like to know if you guys think I'm maybe nitpicking too much or being too harsh, because maybe I'm just hearing things wrong or incorrectly. But I would like to know what you guys think. So thank you very much for watching, and as always, feel free to recommend more in the comments below. Aside from that, I will see you all in next time. Thank you very, very much.